Has anyone even heard of these? Hey forum, Manny back here with another video on the CascadeScents fragrance station, and this one is on 5 fragrance exclusive lines you should know about if you don't know of them already. Exclusive lines, private lines, niche lines, whatever you want to call them, are typically the step up in price point and sometimes quality for some of these mainstream brands that do make fragrances. These lines are often forgotten about, if not ignored by some consumers based on their sometimes artsy style, their lack of distribution, and of course that higher price point. And while that price point is definitely a con, pros include the potential for creativity and quality as well as exclusivity. Because if you're rocking an exclusive line fragrance, chances are you're less susceptible to running into someone else wearing it too. So if you want to channel your inner fragrance hipster with me today, I'm glad you're here. We might as well get started. The first line is Chanel's, and it's called Les Exclusifs de Chanel, or literally the exclusives of Chanel. Now Les Exclusifs de Chanel is really cool in my opinion because this is how the Chanel brand likes to promote some of their old school fragrances, ones that were even around during Coco Chanel's lifetime. Like besides Numero 5, Numero 19, and Pour Monsieur, all of the ones that were around during her lifetime are in this line now. One of those frags is right here, the 1920s release, Bois des Iles, but the Chanel house still comes out with stuff now that does pay homage to the same past. Like some of my other favorites are right here, 31 Rue Cambon and 1932. Each were made in homage to Coco Chanel's former residence and her first ever jewelry line. That being said, each of these that I own are in the Eau de Toilette concentration, and this piece of information is paramount for you because they no longer make Eau de Toilette concentrations of this line. Now they're releasing Les Exclusifs de Chanel in the Eau de Parfum concentrations, which is standard as of October 2016, a little while back. I don't think that new stuff smells as full and as dense as these, especially in the dry down. So if you're relatively interested in this kind of vintage Chanel style, I'll definitely recommend that you don't blind buy this new stuff whatsoever. Definitely do go into your local Chanel counter if they do so happen to carry them and test them out and see if they perform well enough for you, or as well as this stuff right here if you are familiar with this stuff. Or if you know someone who's sampling or splitting the EDT concentrations like these, then you struck gold, my friend. So all in all, Les Exclusifs de Chanel are really great if you're a fan of that posh, bright, vintage Chanel style. Again, just be careful with the concentrations though. Alright, moving on to the next line, we have Christian Dior's La Collection Privée, or the Private Collection. If I could sum up what this line does well, it's modern day formal fragrances. Some notable offerings are Ambre Nuit, Fève Délicieuse, and Oud d'Ispahan, along with some of my favorites in the woody irisy resinous Bois d'Argent and the rose chypre floral that's super bright Gris Montagne. A lot of variety genre-wise, but I can't emphasize enough this stuff is super sophisticated. But another noteworthy thing about this line is the performance. So if you want to be dressed to kill and you want people to not only smell but maybe feel your scent cloud at the same time, you likely can't go wrong with anything from this line. At least some of the all-stars that I mentioned. But when you consider all of that, the one thing I love about this brand the most is the value. We're talking $210 for a 125 ml bottle, which is half of these actually. Now values get worse, right? The smaller the size, and believe it or not, 125 ml is their smallest size. But check this out. For example, the best value in Black Orchid EDP by Tom Ford, which is in their non-exclusive signature line, is $168 for a 100 ml bottle. So what is that? $1.68 per ml, right? But believe it or not, if you do the math, any La Collection Privée bottle at $210 for 125 ml is also $1.68 per ml. So you're at minimum paying upper level designer money for the same, if not more quality, but with the exclusivity to boot. So all in all, not a lot to complain about with La Collection Privée by Christian Dior, except for maybe the distribution, but that's what makes exclusives exclusive, right? Anyway, the next exclusive line I'm going to talk about is by Guerlain. This one is L'Art et la Matière, or The Art and the Matter, I think. Just so you know though, this is not the only exclusive line that Guerlain has. This is just my favorite exclusive line from them currently, and the one that I think has the most all-around appeal in 2017. There's all-stars from the line like Rose Barbare and Tonka Imperial, but if there's anything that this line is known for outside those fragrances, it's how they do vanilla. Whether it's the boozy Spiritueuse Double Vanille, or the dry Angélique Noire, which is my favorite, or this suede right here in Cuir Beluga, the vanilla here is top tier. So I tell anyone, if you're looking for a really sweet, sophisticated fragrance that leans formal, I say look no further than this stuff right here. Like, I honestly feel like you're likelier to find something here than anywhere else. Also, maybe a couple years ago, I would have said that this line was too cool weather heavy because there weren't enough warm weather offerings. But thankfully, Guerlain's trying to diversify this line furthermore with more warm weather offerings like Joyeuse Tuberose and Neroli Outre Noir. I actually think both of those fragrances are brilliant. I'm probably going to pick up at least one of them. And yeah, I just think that those and maybe this line altogether just deserves more recognition. I really can't hate on the scents, I just love how they do sweet, specifically vanilla. But don't let me tell you without you sniffing them, so hopefully you guys have already checked them out. If not, please do so ASAP. Alright guys, we're almost there. Here's the second last house. It's Hermès with their Collection Hermessence. And Hermessence, of course, is a portmanteau of Hermès and essence, so Hermessence. Now, I love Hermès fragrances in general because they do a lot of things I want out of a fragrance typically. They're safe, they're subdued, they're versatile, and they're unique at the same time. And the Hermessence collection is nothing short of that as well. Some Hermescences on my wish list include Poivre Samarcande as well as Vetiver Tonka. But my absolute favorite right now is this right here, which is Amber Narguilé. Very nice, syrupy, sweet, welcoming fragrance. That being said, besides this one that does great, they all kind of perform pretty poorly. Like $255 for a 100 ml better get me a 6-hour fragrance at the very least. And I'm being generous by saying 6 hours. So obviously that's an issue, and I feel like that poor performance factor is primarily why a lot of perfume lovers as well as luxury good lovers in general have kind of ignored this line sadly. But a part of me really does love a subdued yet really creative fragrance line, but I want a little bit more staying power as far as longevity. That's all. Great line overall from Hermès, they're still worth checking out in my opinion. Last but not least though, we have the most notorious exclusive line in all of perfumery, you guessed it, Tom Ford's Private Blend collection. What once was a great line for super robust powerhouse fragrances is no longer that for better or for worse, but I'd honestly be less gutted about this if Tom Ford wasn't always out here reformulating and vaulting some of my favorites. For example, remember Amber Absolute? Vaulted. What about Noire de Noire? I like this one quite a bit. Reformulated for the worse. Or how about Italian Cypress? Not quite a Private Blend OG, but definitely my favorite from the line entirely. Restricted to being an online exclusive. So in case I run out of this stuff, I'm going to have to blind buy a new bottle. And I say blind buy because I can't test the new bottles out in real life. So what if these new online ones are reformulated too? Who knows? I swear you just can't win with this collection in 2017, and I honestly think that their best days are long behind them. That being said, if there's one thing I can't really hate on this line for, it's variety. They have like nearly every kind of genre in this line. But if anything, I wish they had a tiered pricing system, because if this is worth $255 for a 50 ml, and this is also worth the same price, I feel like you smell this and it's closer to that value, and this definitely isn't. So I don't think it's necessary to keep things the same as far as stuff that clearly has higher value in ingredients and blend. Like, this just should be cheaper in my opinion, that's all. I've ranted about this before, but I have to emphasize it again. $4.50 per ml for a fragrance to last 2 hours, I just don't think is reasonable. So yeah, I don't know. I could go on all day about Tom Ford private blends, but I won't for the sake of time. But again, they're still worth checking out if you haven't yet. And there it is, that about does it for the bulk of my breakdowns for 5 fragrance exclusive lines you should know about. This was a lot of fun to do, so I hope you enjoyed it. That being said, if I could pick an absolute favorite line out of the ones here, definitely has to be L'Art et la Matière by Guerlain. This line just knows what it's good at, and they're starting to diversify now. So even after 12 years of activity for this line, they're still in the come up, so bravo Guerlain. But hey, enough about me. What is your favorite exclusive line? Is it this one or one of the other ones I listed here? Is it something else? Just let me know in the comments below, as well as if you liked this video or not. And also, if you do like this video, give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't yet. And yeah, hopefully I see you next time. So thanks again for the ongoing support as always, and I'll see you later. So take care, peace out, bye. Where are your fragrances?